because there's
So,
a reason why certain people were at
here we are now. We just got out of
there's a reason
watching
why we're parking garages.
Yeah, we're gonna park in garages because we just got out of Skywalker.
Does anyone still want popcorn?
Yeah, why not?
What's the turn?
So I'm gonna toss it.
I want to get the feel for the room.
Okay, good.
I was really satisfied.
Cool. There's still cars. Cool.
All right, so this is gonna be the post
So we can't even
episode
get,
9
but then we
spoiler
wait
talk.
like a month?
Spoilers ahead. Heavy
Spoilers.
spoilers ahead. Here's our crew we watched it with.
I can't believe I watched it.
We're here on the high ground.
I was there by accident.
So
I can't believe episode 9 exists and we just
I'm
watched
sorry.
it.
we'll leave it to Mark.
Hold on.
So
Why me?
Yeah, no, you lead off.
You have a lot to say.
You're allowed to say.
It's
Yeah,
not
all
that
the
I have a
time.
lot to say.
You are the
Hold.
I'm not
artisan.
even
Wait, no,
the
come
I'm not
back.
even the resident
They're
Star
coming back.
Wars
Okay.
expert here. I
You
default that to
default
Don.
that to Don? Okay, so we'll ask Don straight up after 42 years of
42. Oh, we'll hold for a sec.
hold.
I will interject by saying, the Force brought us together.
The Force did.
Yeah, we got TJ's here too.
Only the also the
amazing.
implications
Here we
of
go.
a certain character. I guess we can.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how we go.
Yeah, they got
Alright.
in the car now. Go ahead.
All right, first
All
of all, did you like it?
I liked it.
All right.
I liked
There
it.
you go.
It's good. It's good. It's good. We had the conversation at the end. You stupid EU fans better be happy. You got what you wanted. There's a lot of elements that they take from the EU and they bring it back.
But
So-
not in the exact
Not,
same
yeah,
way.
not in the exact
Yep.
same way.
They
But
just
I mean,
make-
they brought like a lot of elements, of, like the whole Palpatine thing, the whole
Clones.
the clones. Yeah,
But
the-
except instead of Palpatine, it's
Yeah.
Snoke.
it was like very Dark Empire. Or,
Yeah.
forget what. Yeah, was it Dark Empire?
I believe so.
Yeah. So brought that back. Brought back a lot of like the whole like diode thing with Rey and Kylo or Ben, I guess. It was very Jaina and Jason. Thank you. Jesus Christ, I couldn't think of his name.
That's because
Yeah,
the new
it's
Jason.
very-
yeah.
The new Jason is Cindella's son.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of that. So better be happy.
In terms of like
All right, here we go.
where you rank it.
Where I rank-
First of all, where you rank it amongst the sequel trilogy.
sequel trilogy?
Yeah.
2.
So the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
second best.
Second best.
All right.
Yeah, agreed.
What's your first?
Sure.
Last Jedi still.
And then Force Awakens. So then, how do you rank this as the ninth
Overall?
Yeah, overall. I know that's a hard question to ask
4?
after you watch right after you watch it.
4, I guess.
Okay.
Was it Empire, Last, New Hope, and then 9?
Out of the sky,
Rise of
out of all the
Skywalker, yeah.
Skywalker.
Yeah.
Out of the
Yeah,
9.
I feel that's appropriate. 4.
Very cool.
Yeah.
This isn't on me.
Oh, you're the
It's
moderator.
funny. Oh yeah, that's true.
Moderating.
It's just kind of interesting what JJ was trying to do here. I felt like he wasn't, like some of the people out there wanted to retcon The Last Jedi. Like people were trying to think that this was going to fix all the issues and problems.
People that hated Last Jedi.
And JJ went middle ground on this. He, like what you were talking about.
Well, we're all
instead
talking about
instead of like
It's overbearing fanboy.
Yeah,
Stuff is, and new stuff. It's all balanced.
It's all like he didn't entirely retcon things, but he did like you said, sort of satisfy some lingering issues about certain characters. I guess we can go. We're going spoiler.
Yeah, we're going spoiler.
So,
We
like,
already went spoiler.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. But yeah, like the whole Rey's lineage.
Yeah.
I was fine with Rey coming from nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that
Yeah.
because that was the whole point of The Last Jedi was that
totally fine.
hope can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
And this movie does that same thing too.
Yeah.
And this one they sort of they go middle road. Like her parents are nobodies.
Yeah.
But apparently they chose to be nobodies because they are Palpatine's offspring. Yeah. So
her
who
father
do you-
was Palpatine.
When did she find time to have a family?
Secret family.
Which makes her part no.
Nabooan.
Yeah, Nabooan, I guess.
Yeah.
So because she was, I think, was a not a naturalized Nabooan. Like he's the native Nabooan, but not like Gungan native. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, so that ties her lineage
Yeah.
kind of with not only with Palpatine, but it's like the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Or not Skywalkers, but Leia.
Yeah.
Is from Naboo. So.
Yeah. Well.
I'm a dog.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, sort
of.
From Padme's side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean.
But like that was a way for them to sort of go middle ground. Like her parents chose to be nobodies, and they were nobodies, but they weren't the poor paupers.
Yeah.
That was
who was the Palpatine, mom or dad?
There's the dad.
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 It was
Dad.
yeah.
I mean, like to counter that, right? Like in Empire, Vader reveals that he's Luke's father, right? And like, people. I mean, they consulted with the child psychologist that they had to confirm that, Vader wasn't lying. So you could look at that and be like, oh, Kylo was lying, but from a certain point of view.
It's always from a certain point.
It's always from a certain point of view. So that's kind of how I took it. Like, okay, yeah, he technically told the truth.
And that's what they were
that's
going
fine,
with.
yeah.
Like that's why when I say that it doesn't retcon things that were told in the Last Jedi, the things that pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah, it's not a complete wipe.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
But then this should appease the people that are like, oh, she just can't come from nobody.
I like that she's a Palpatine.
Yeah.
I think that was if anything, I'm glad that they chose that as the more interesting twist.
I did not see that
the hints
coming.
were there, right?
Yeah, the hints.
Everyone's saying about the whole
There's
fighting
speculation.
style and stuff like that.
The fighting
like,
style,
the
but
whole
also
stabby
her moments of anger, even from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because if you've done a rewatch like all of us did, you can tell that
Days
Rey
ago,
was always pissed off.
Yeah.
Even from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they knew they were going to do that from the very beginning.
You know what? George always said that he knew that he was going to do all those films, and I always have like this down in my mind that he just kind of makes that up as he goes along.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that these guys didn't have a plan like from was it 7 to 9, but I think they had goals at the end.
Yeah, they had milestones to hit, I think.
But they didn't have like all the story beats laid out, which explains why Force Awakens feels different from Last Jedi. And why
this one feels different.
This feels different from all the other two.
Yeah.
And because I think they're probably gonna watch the movie.
Let me say something here real quick, because a lot of things we're saying we're talking about the fans, and a lot of the fans we talk about, most of them that we're talking about either loved Force Awakens and hated Last Jedi, or the other way around.
We say a lot.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
I don't want to.
Our group. Tell you what. Just to describe this group, Force Awakens, loved it. Last Jedi, loved it. This one right now, loved it. So we're that kind of fans.
It's kind of amazing that,
Nobody here
none of us
hates
like
this
saying-
movie. Nobody here has like major issues with this movie, at least as far as I know. Like I think like I said before when we were in there, this is the movie. This is what it was going to be. It needed to be this. It couldn't be anything but this.
Yeah.
There are other ways to do this story. This particular, there's other ways to end it, but I think the way they did it was a good way to go.
Yeah.
I think it ends the whole 9-part saga pretty well. It's a definitive end, but it also leaves things as open as you want it to be. You know,
they can still do it through other media, video games.
Yeah. I mean, it's as open.
They already do that already.
Side stories.
Yeah,
It's as open
Plus.
as A New Hope
Disney Plus,
was.
yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah.
So as far as like a definitive ending, it sets that story is over, and we have this new universe to play in now.
Yeah. So
And
it's nice.
future Disney Plus
Yeah.
stuff. I
No,
mean,
you're not like bound by anything anymore. I mean, that's what they wanted to do when they went away from the EU. Like they didn't want to be bound by anything, because then you're just kind of pigeonholing yourself, pigeonholing the story into like something that everyone's going to expect. And it's always been about subverting expectations. So, yeah, I think this one will be good. I hope people like it. Like, but people are already going in with that mindset of like, it's dumb. I'm wasting my time. Like, if you go in with that mindset, you're lost. You've already lost.
Why bother watching?
Yeah, why bother watching it then? Like, oh, you're just gonna hope for some redemption.
because they need the ammo to do those 10-minute clickbait videos in order to earn all the clicks.
I just want to point out, Don, are you saying that if they don't believe, that is why they fail?
Yeah.
Just want to be clear on that. Just want to be very clear on that.
It's, I'm kind of like, there's a lot, especially in the last few months, like I feel like there's been a lot of people that have been like always asking me like, oh, why do you still like Star Wars? And I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
right? And it's like, there was a point where like people are like, oh, convince me to like why you like it, and like so I could like it again. I'm like, I don't need to convince you anything. Like, if you don't like it, that's fine.
It's your choice.
It's your choice. Like, I don't need to convince you anything.
And that's the weird part, is that
Yeah.
the toxic fans are trying to convince people to hate new Disney stuff. And meanwhile, the people that like this stuff, we're not trying to convince people to watch it. We just like it and let us like it. Don't always tell us.
We're not a cynical group.
Yeah, don't. Yeah. It's like we're always bombarded by negative media where it's like.
Depends on what it is.
Why are you trying to convince me this stuff sucks? I mean, you think it sucks, whatever. Continue thinking that. That's fine. I'm not going to try to convince you that it doesn't suck.
You're trying to convince me to think it sucks. Like that's
like I'm going to think that this stuff is great, and you're going to think that this stuff is horrible. That's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion, but stop trying to convince us. Stop trying to make these clickbaity videos. Where you
to hate it.
You spend hours and hours nitpicking the shit out of these movies.
That's a dark side trait.
It's like
all because
you want to convince the rest of us that these movies suck. That's it, just leading you nowhere.
Stop being a sheep.
It's I just never got the whole like that culture of negativity around these movies. I mean, it all began with the prequels when people started hating those. But then, how much would have that been worse with the internet?
Oh yeah. The
internet was behind it. I mean, the internet was in infancy back then in terms of like YouTube and stuff like that. People's reach, people's voices weren't as broad or as loud as they are now. It just boggles my mind that people spend so much time hating something, and they spend hours and hours of content just hating the same things over and over and over again, and they're just yelling into this void of similar ideas that just follow them. And maybe like the people that like it also do a similar thing. I'm not saying that we don't. Like I tend to avoid all the negative crap, and I tend to watch the things that I agree with. It's called an echo chamber, guys. It's a thing that exists. There's a term for it. But like sometimes I do watch the videos that criticize these movies, but like they do it in a way where it's like, oh, okay, these are fair criticisms. I understand your viewpoint. I don't see those as criticisms, or I see them as criticisms, but they're not enough for me to ruin the enjoyment of these films. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they're all entertainment. I don't care how much these movies mean to you in your childhood. They're still, at the end of the day, just entertainment. But if you talk shit about Star Trek, I'm gonna kill you.
It's just jokes about fandom out here.
We're going back to fandom. The other thing too is like these movies aren't made for us. They're made for the new. They're here for the kids. Like honestly, it's always been a kids movie.
It's funny. I was just thinking that just now.
Right?
Like it's made for kids.
It started off made for like kids.
But luckily for us, we love them.
Yeah,
it's funny. It's funny the stuff that George liked in his childhood. He tried to bring it back for other kids to enjoy. And then, all these adults.
But my childhood.
But what about my childhood? It's like, well, your childhood was when you were a child.
Yep.
You had your time. And if you think the new stuff is ruining your childhood, go. Well, it's hard to say that with Star Wars. Go back and watch the old stuff. It's harder to do that. I'm sorry. The special editions are here to stay for a reason. Not for a reason, but they're just here to stay. And that's where, like, I feel sorry for you guys. There's no going back home for the people that want to watch the despecialized version, at least not legally anyway.
Yeah. Unless you still have a set of the VHS.
Oh yeah, unless you still have the VHS, which you should. If you call yourself a hardcore Star Wars fan, you should have the VHSs, the THX not special, the THX approved VHSs in letterbox, not fucking pan and scan, or the fucking laser discs. If you don't have any of those things, then why are you calling yourself a hardcore fan? So that's my rant.
We went on a wild tangent about
fandom. Let's go back to the movie.
I do that.
Back to the movie.
So if we want to go back,
let's go back on track.
Back to the movie. Who's got something to say?
I got.
I'm done. TJ.
So okay. So I will say So I'm going to talk about it mechanically a little bit, and it's mostly because I've noticed J.J. Abrams has patterns, and I saw this in the first reboot of Star Trek. Also saw this in The Force Awakens, and he has this tendency where you introduce a character from the classic, and then somehow you acknowledge that everything is real, as in The Force Awakens literally said it's real, all of it, and then you pay homage to it, and then maybe a beloved character dies. So that happens a few times. And I noticed in this movie, I was actually talking about it with Fernando over here, that in this movie he jumps around a lot. Like J.J. Abrams, he likes to smash cuts from this scene to that scene to this scene to that scene again, and it is a very stark contrast to The Last Jedi, where you really linger on scenes a lot, and then you really spend a lot of time with them. Now, that said, it didn't bother me. Like, I still love this movie for what it was. It was a great experience. I do feel satisfied about where they took the trilogy and the things they did, both to not cater, so to speak. Like, you mentioned, like Don mentioned, all you EU fans better be happy, and I was. But I will say
found the EU
a little bit. I haven't delved as much as other people. Most of my EU is limited to like the old novels, like Timothy Zahn, and then the Thrawn trilogy. The Rogue Squadron books were some of my favorites. Yeah, so there was you Rogue Squadron fans. You won't be disappointed either. I know we said spoilers already, but I'm gonna leave that one for you guys to enjoy.
There's some that we shouldn't probably talk about just because
nobody should be
Well,
watching
if you haven't watched this already, or you haven't watched the movie yet, then let's stop. Why are you watching this?
Exactly.
Because Wedge shows up, and he's a gunner on the Millennium Falcon.
There it is. Yep.
And that got the biggest rise out of us old school X-Wing miniatures players, because I'm like, oh my god.
We jumped out of our seats.
Yeah.
Wedge, like out of all the cameos that we saw, like Dennis Lawson always said he didn't want to do it because he wanted a meaty part. Well, you know what? It's the final film, and they probably gave him. They probably threw enough money at him where he's like, okay, I'll just sit in here for like an hour and shoot this scene, and you
it's great.
$1 million or whatever.
He got the sick crowd pop.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He's a
He
fan
was in
favorite.
the Aftermath novels. He was in the.
He's a big part of
Yeah,
that.
he is.
He's a war veteran.
Yeah.
He's been in every freaking war.
He's in the one before it, before the prequel to this movie.
Oh my god.
What was it called? Like Spark of the Resistance or
I
something
think
like
so.
that?
No.
Something like that. That's some resistance in the title.
Resistance Reborn?
Yeah.
Something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Alright. Which I still need to read. It's going to be interesting reading that.
That said, I was very pleased. I was satisfied, and I did enjoy a lot of the references, but it didn't feel like pandering. It didn't feel like it was too much. Like, and it didn't feel like things were shoehorned in there just to get them in there to cater to fans. And I think that's what we need, is to not cater to fans. So there's someone nearby, so I was trying to avoid talking about it. It looks like he has an AMC name tag though, so he's probably fine. But
he's probably seen that movie hundreds of times by now.
No, it was a great experience, and I do think that if you are a Star Wars fan, and a positive Star Wars fan, not a toxic one, because there are a lot of those out there, and if you have to question if you're a toxic fan, go home and rethink your life.
We're back into fandom.
We're back into fandom.
It's gonna happen.
We already said that if you already hated the new stuff, you're not gonna like this.
It's like it's any IP. Any IP you're gonna run into that. But I will say to those people, you don't want to sell me death sticks. You want to go home and rethink your life. And that's my rant.
Anybody else?
All right, anybody here from the quiet corner?
The music.
Coming from our musician over here.
It's very John Williams.
Yes.
Everything.
In a good way, in a bad way?
It's him.
In the best kind of way?
It's him.
No,
So
that's fair.
I heard all the themes. I heard all the
Different
different versions of the themes. How they did it all. Heavily orchestrated, like kind of old school feel. If you notice, like the celebration at the end, no sounds, just the orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's like, oh, they're doing it, the music the old school way, like not how they're doing it nowadays. None of that and all that crap.
Hans Zimmer,
Yeah, exactly. It's John Williams
I got no
and
problem with Hans Zimmer, but it's not Hans Zimmer.
no, yeah,
It
he
doesn't
has
work
a
for that
certain
film.
style too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So John Williams pulled John Williams, and I liked it.
And this was his last Star Wars movie. He's not going to do any more.
I do have to ask, do you prefer Williams, Zimmer, or Danny Elfman?
Well, that's 3 different people.
Okay. So apples to oranges kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
You like him for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're different movies. So.
And different movies,
They're different movies. Like watch the music from Batman versus the music from Star Wars.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
I gotcha.
But
I will say
so.
I do miss Yub Nub. Just saying.
It would have been nice to have Yub Nub show up when we do see the Ewok show. We see, and I gotta believe that's Warwick Davis as Old Wicket.
It's got to be.
in the suit.
Yeah, because they brought him back for Solo. So.
Yeah, they did. They brought him back. They did, and they brought Warwick back for
Episode 1,
Rogue One.
He's in Rogue One.
Yeah.
He actually plays the same character they played in Phantom Menace.
Oh, no shit.
It's the same
Okay.
character, except he's militarized now, and he was a part of Saw Gerrera's crew.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I researched that shit. I'm like, holy shit, Warwick! No,
Well,
it's the same character.
It's nice to know that the actor and the character are both still getting work.
Exactly. It's like, even if it's all Star Wars, but you know what? What better work than a Star Wars
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah.
So, Where would you like? So you talked about it. Where would you? I asked Don about the ranking. Where would you rank it?
I for one like resolution. I like endings. I like happy endings. I have to see it again, but I would say right now it's in my top 3.
Okay.
I can't say for sure until I've really I mean, this was great, but like, I do need more time to sink it to. Really,
I know.
sink my teeth
I asked
into
that
it.
question, and I know that's super. We only watched it once.
Because these are first impressions.
So like as far as
First
first impressions go, if you were to rank them, that's what I'm asking.
I would say top 3 because of the degree.
And this is all 9.
Out of all 9, yeah, top 3 because of the degree of resolution that it offered.
Okay.
And again, in the way that it wasn't, I didn't feel like I was pandered to or catered to or anything was just shoved in my face. Just it felt like it did feel like the culmination of the series, and both the trilogy and the entire series, and I appreciate that feeling. So. Yep.
Cool. How about you, Fernando? You're a huge Star Wars fan too.
Yeah.
We barely talked to you.
I don't know. Like,
Okay, then what's your let's say the stunts and the
oh yeah. I was talking about the TJ. Yeah, I was like,
lightsaber choreography I think the judicious use of lightsabers in the movie. I don't think they overdid it.
Yeah, because the last Jedi they didn't have any sabers clashing. This one there's a lot of that. That was good. You know, when we were watching all of the 8 or 9 movies at Don's house, I was just going back to the first 3, how everybody they die, they arms up and go like this. It's the evolution of stunt work and action cinema. Yeah, it's just like
compared to all the
now they just flip over. They do like Hong Kong shit.
The fucking
It's
stormtroopers
sick.
in this movie get it bad.
They
Holy
fly
shit.
all over
I've
the
never-
place. They ragdoll like.
Remember
like,
when I was saying it was
yeah,
a little bit like
much
a
better.
video game.
Yeah.
That whole corridor sequence.
That was we
And
talked
I
about
mean
that.
video game in the best sense. Like it was so
Yeah.
immersive. It was like
It was really
They had better
dynamic.
tactics too. We
dynamic.
were talking about that as well.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have good tactics in the older films, but this one like you could see Poe.
They were holding them up.
correctly.
Yeah.
And then when Finn crossed, he put his blaster down, so he's not flagging.
Yeah.
He's not flagging with his muzzle, flagging his friendly
Those
with the
little
muzzle.
details.
Little details like that. Tactics are way better, like evolution of stunts and choreography. Refined. And like the saber combat, it's exactly what it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're not the old school Jedi who were skilled in acrobatics and that old school style of fighting where it's very Chinese. This one's I guess more Japanese and what was it?
I guess you could say
European,
it's more grounded.
was it HEMA? Historical,
historic,
European martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a combination of those two, I think. And every like strike looked like it was,
Yeah.
going towards its target, and the way they're blocking just goes through. So they just parry, strike, parry. I think he's one of the better lightsaber fights in all of the trilogy. Next to, I think, Darth Maul and Obi-Wan is in Phantom Menace the best one. The second would probably be one of the either Force Awakens or this one, and then the third would be like the Throne Room in Empire, like the way they were, and the way they fought. Because you got this different styles.
Room in Empire? You mean like in Bespin?
In
Jedi.
Yeah,
Return?
Jedi. Yeah.
No Anakin and Obi-Wan in that?
Oh, yeah, I was curious about that too.
That one's
I wanna know where that
I
ranks
think
for you.
There are
that one's
pros
tough.
and cons to that.
Yeah,
fight. I like the.
Yeah, there's pros and cons.
I
to
like
that
the
one.
emotion.
Yes.
In that
It
fight.
did have a heavy emotional impact.
Yeah. It's just that there are certain
things
things in that.
you shouldn't be doing, like waving your lightsaber.
But that's for another discussion.
yeah.
We can do our own stuntman reacts to lightsaber fights.
I just want to say I like the Jedi drop kick and the leg clothesline.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite like Jedi karate moves. Those are the best.
Yeah.
They should do more of that.
It's probably best that some lost arts remain lost.
Yeah. Hey, but Leia did a roundhouse kick.
Yeah.
Leia did a roundhouse. Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that scene.
Yeah, she did a roundhouse
that's
kick.
right.
yeah.
Another.
A roundhouse kick
spoiler
and like
moment.
a leg trip.
Very, very big.
So
spoiler
this
moment.
should please a lot of Leia fans. I
Yes.
can't wait for Kate to see this movie.
Kate's gonna cry.
Can we? Oh, I'm not
Kate's
gonna be
gonna cry.
back by the time she gets back, right? Is she gonna watch
No,
it?
she's gonna watch it. I think she's coming back on Saturday, but she's probably gonna watch it Sunday.
I'm
gonna ask.
I'm
Right.
flying
Yeah.
to London.
When are you leaving?
All right, let's get back
Sunday.
to the
You're
scene.
gonna go to
Pinewood, right? You're gonna go to Pinewood.
All right, go back to
That's
the movie.
what it said, right?
All right, back to
sorry,
the movie.
but yeah, like there's a scene where it's a flashback,
Yeah.
and you see, and
The
you
training.
Yeah.
Like we
and
never
you
get to see
and
the
you
training.
I think this is post Return of the Jedi.
Yes,
Yes,
because
it
they're still
is.
young.
Yeah.
They're still really young.
So it's post Return of the Jedi Luke, training, obviously post Return of the Jedi Leia
Yeah.
in lightsaber combat. And we
Yeah.
get to see like a
Her
good chunk of that, and
Yeah, it
she
was a good
has
chunk.
her.
She
She
has her own
built
saber.
her own saber, and
That's
it's
a beautiful
and
saber.
It's a sick-looking saber.
It is
Beautiful.
amazing.
I feel like
Um,
when you look
and
at
it's,
it,
and
it
it's very Leia.
yeah. When you feel
it's so Leia.
it kind of also looks like a mix of everybody's saber into one.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I was
when
like,
I
wait,
was
is that
looking at it,
Luke's?
yeah.
But then it
It's
has
like
like
the
and-
knitter of Luke's, and
Yeah.
then
and it makes
Obi-Wan.
sense because
Yeah.
she's seen her like
she
Anakin's
she
lightsaber.
has no other reference.
And she's
Yeah.
seen,
Yeah.
well, obviously, Luke still has his Return of the Jedi lightsaber,
Yeah.
the Reed
Yeah.
one. So it's going to be heavily based, the look is heavily based on that. But, you know,
So
like,
she has to go
and it
off
has
of,
her
like,
own...
that and text. That's
yeah.
all. Like,
Yeah.
And it
There's
has
no
her
reference.
own, like, you know, aesthetic that suits her so well.
Yeah.
Like, as far as lightsaber designs go, they haven't done anything. They haven't, like, made super stupid lightsabers for anybody. in
no, I
these
think
movies.
they're all really good.
Like, Kylo's matched his really well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
They're reflective
Rey's
of
own
personality.
lightsaber,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
that was-
yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Very-
we never seen anything
very-
like
and,
this.
and, and I
in the-
think
since the prequels.
it could be double bladed. We don't
Could
see
be.
her.
Yeah,
does
because
look like
that's
it.
what we were talking about.
It's a
so it's
symmetrical
very
designs.
and she looks like Bastila.
Well,
from
also
Knights of the
she
Old Republic.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
what
she-
it gave me Bastila
Yeah.
vibes.
also she's used to fighting with a staff.
Yes.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so
in
it
fact, she's
fits
a
her.
better fighter
With
the
a staff, so then
yeah.
that's gonna probably be a double sided.
Actually, I don't remember. Was that saber similar to the one like that dark version of herself that she faced?
No,
It wasn't
that
as
was
long.
different.
So
Yeah,
hers, it was the collapsing. That,
Yeah,
you know,
that's the one
that
that's
was
sort of
staff.
like.
Yeah.
Because it fits her, because she's a staff.
But
she's,
it was
she's, good
very
staff.
reminiscent of Darth Maul's design
It was.
because it
yeah.
was a double bladed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the way that
But less,
top emitter
like,
part.
Yeah, the
less,
top
less,
emitter.
less industrial and less evil looking.
Yeah.
For lack of
Oh,
a
yeah,
better
obviously.
term.
And as Fernando was saying about the end of the movie, very like it looks like something a scavenger would put
Yeah,
together.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, every lightsaber that I've seen from any of the trilogies, actually, from prequel, or original to sequel, like they've all sort of just they've been really great. Like,
They
in
match
terms
the
of
personalities,
hills,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Like
have a lot of character.
Dooku, his
Oh,
matches his
yeah.
personality, his fighting style, the fencing style.
So as far as that goes, I mean, for all the haters out there, they can't hate the lightsabers in these movies. They're so
Lightsabers,
great.
yeah.
Someone will.
Someone
A
always
lot of
does.
lot of
yeah.
reverse grip too. I noticed this movie.
Reverse grip? Yeah,
reverse
reverse
grip.
grip.
A lot of reverse grip.
A lot of Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Speaking
which,
of,
I was hoping to see her.
Yeah.
So to see her.
Yeah.
I know
What
that's
is
the
it?
only thing. If
Just the
like,
ghost.
it would have been awesome to see all the ghosts there, but I'm
Yeah.
glad that at least we got the voice cameo.
Yeah,
Yes.
that
From
voice cameo.
every,
It's-
almost
Oh,
every
Kanan.
notable
Yeah.
Jedi
Yep.
that you can think about,
Yeah.
which includes
Luminara was there.
animated stuff as
Yeah.
well too.
Yeah.
Luminara, Mace,
Kanan.
Kanan,
Kanan,
both Obi-Wans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Both.
So you hear Alec Guinness and
Ewan
Ewan.
McGregor.
Yep.
And my
you hear
favorite-
Ashley Eckstein.
Yeah, actually, next time.
And my favorite,
Yeah, you're-
Anakin Skywalker. I hate
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, my favorite. Hayden
Um,
Christensen.
and Qui-Gon himself.
Qui-Gon,
Liam
yeah.
Neeson.
Yeah, my boss.
boss, dude.
My boss. My boss's boss.
I
So,
was
like-
reading the credits for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we all stayed.
Yeah,
we were all
like-
like, who came back and did these voices?
And I was trying to see if I had any friends in there, but I got a shout out to Jimmy and Jerry for being the Mandalorian.
Oh,
so
that's
jealous.
cool.
Ah,
They got a
I want in
season
on that.
two. They got
Yeah,
a
I
season
know. I know.
Maybe we'll see your beard.
Oh
face.
God.
These
I don't
aren't
care.
these
I
aren't
just wanna be-
Mandalorian
I just want
spoilers.
to be
though.
canon. Yeah.
But it was great. I mean, they didn't have to do that. I mean, we were kind of expecting it.
Yeah.
But the way they did it, I think, was a good way to do it. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, we would have all we would have all geeked out if we saw like Force ghosts of every
Oh,
single
yeah,
one
yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
I would've
Like
loved
live
that.
action,
That
live
would've been the
action
best.
Force ghosts of
Yeah.
like Kanan
Everybody,
and
Ahsoka.
Oh yeah.
Ahsoka.
Ones that have
Oh,
never
man.
appeared live action.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
But
mean,
I think
I would've loved
that would have been a bonus. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't.
we
I
but
would've-
we didn't need it.
We
and
didn't
it-
need it, but I would have liked it if it happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like
it was,
a-
and the way they
like
did it. In the,
silhouettes or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
but the way they
something,
did it in
yeah.
the film was good enough.
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
great to even have Ashley and Freddie Prinze and
Yeah.
and all the non-live action
Yeah, that was
Jedi
their,
that are
that
important
was
to
their,
the
that was
story.
their movie debut, or his Star Wars like live action debut.
Yeah.
Freddie Prinze.
I know, and he's been keeping that a secret.
Yeah.
Everybody's
They all were, yeah.
they all were.
Now they can say, like, oh yeah, it was super fun that we did this.
And I heard he was a huge Star Wars geek,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a huge gamer, Star Wars geek. So it's like
Yeah.
being a fan and trying to and being in those movies is probably like one of the greatest things.
I mean, it was cool when Sam Witwer finally got to be the live action voice for Darth Maul in Solo. So this is kind of like cool to have Freddie Prinze Jr. finally be like in a live action,
Didn't it
even
used
if
to,
it's his voice.
didn't it used to be
Ray Park.
not Ray
No,
Park.
it was Paul
Serafinowicz,
Yeah.
from Space.
But like, yeah, obviously he's not gonna come back.
yeah,
Like he's done.
he's done with it.
But
yeah.
I mean, they got Sam is
yeah, from
awesome.
the
so-
enemies.
So one thing I'm curious about, and I'm waiting to hear about. So you remember, like in The Force Awakens, when Rey was escaping from Kylo's interrogation chamber, the stormtrooper was
Oh yeah,
Daniel
Daniel
Craig.
Craig.
Oh,
Yeah,
and then-
his voice is very
Yeah,
distinctive.
yeah. And then you remember like the
Kevin Smith
when
was in there too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then in Last Jedi we had Joseph Gordon-Levitt as the guy at the casino.
Oh, no way.
Selling them out. And
Oh
being
yeah,
like,
because of
"Hey,
Ryan
those
Johnson.
are- Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
him.
So, yeah,
that's
yeah.
new to me.
Really?
That's
Okay,
really
well,
funny.
there you go.
Greg Gunberg,
So-
J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, and he was in Force Awakens.
But
too.
there's other stormtrooper voices that we do see.
That-
Yeah, there's
now
one
I'm
here,
curious about
there's a
those.
female
Who's
one.
you know who's gonna
Yeah,
be
there was a
the,
couple female ones.
Female ones.
But
Yeah,
there's
they were.
also the two that got forced.
Yeah.
yeah,
So good. you're here.
yeah, for,
it's
so
really
good.
and they
So
were
relieved.
funny as
Yeah.
heck.
They
I
were.
wonder if they were
I
like
wonder
cameos.
if I wonder if
Yeah.
they were voice
Yeah.
cameos.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
We'll find
later.
out, yeah.
That's
They
what I'm
have like
waiting for.
distinctive voices. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And their
it
delivery
is.
was
Look it up.
awesome.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Stick in case.
I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
relieved.
It's
that
so
you
good
came
here.
Music cameo.
Yeah,
Lin-Manuel
yeah.
Miranda.
Oh yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
was in there in the celebration
Oh,
scene
boy.
at the very end.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
A lot
That's
of-
what he was. Ryan was like, poking me in the shoulder, going, "Yo,
Yeah, I was
that's
Lin-Manuel
Lin-Manuel Miranda." I was
That's
like, "Where?"
awesome.
They're like, the scene's already gone. I'll tell you later.
Yeah, he wrote
Just
a
a lot
song
of
with
really
JJ,
nice tweets.
and it's on there.
Oh, it's the scene in the the club. We'll
figure it out.
Figure it out
Figure it
later.
out,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, there you go.
JJ wrote music
Wait,
too.
what was the other? There was two twists that I was talking to you about that I really like. Was the Irving Palpatine and
Yeah.
the
What was the other one?
what was the other one?
Palpatine.
Yeah, Raping of Palpatine.
We talked
and then
about
the
this
other
like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what was the twist? That was the other twist I
Had
liked.
to do with the other ghost that appears in the film.
Okay, yeah, get back to me later. Like,
Kylo's
I
ghost.
couldn't
Is
remember.
it Ben's
Yeah.
turn?
Yes, Ben's turn. That was
Ben's
it.
turn.
Yeah, his turn. Yeah.
And Han coming back.
Oh,
Yeah, come
Han
on,
was
man.
back.
Everybody is back.
God
Yeah.
damn it!
I thought he was done with Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
didn't
like,
he say
oh,
like I'm
hello.
done? I was
Talking
just
about
wanted
a
to-
person keeping a secret. I was wondering why he showed up at the
Yeah.
premiere, other than he's been with the
Why
series
wouldn't
for a
he?
long time.
Yeah.
But that was nice.
Yeah, that
That was
that
nice.
was organic. I think it was an
It was-
organic
finally had-
turn.
Did we find out who they were?
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
Would you guys call that a face turn? Is that a thing? I
Yeah,
know-
yeah,
I
it's
know
a face turn.
There's the
Yeah,
heel
yeah,
turn.
yeah,
Is
face
he a
turn.
face turn?
Yeah, face
But
turn.
I think
It was like a tweener. He was a
It was
tweener.
done in a way where it doesn't absolve him of all the shit that he's done.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like he doesn't. I mean, he has this happy ending, but it's not the happy ending
He
that.
has his redemption.
Redemption, yeah.
Which
yeah.
is not
And-
exactly the same
and-
as him.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of redemption where it, like I said, it doesn't absolve him of all his, well, let's just face it, his war crimes.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
killed.
jeez.
He's committed
All
genocide on a grand scale.
Mhm.
So it's like he did the one thing that allowed him to sort of like be one with the Force.
Yeah.
At least enough to so that his parents, like his mother's sacrifice. And here's the thing, Leia
Yeah.
sacrifices herself
To help
save
Ben.
to,
Yeah,
to help Ben.
Ben
to
turn, yeah.
It's Ben turn, and there's always been, even from the very beginning, there's always been tugs of the light side in Ben.
Yeah, they mentioned it
And that's
quite
great.
a few
I think
times.
that's
Yeah.
awesome that we see that in Force Awakens with his hesitation at first to kill Harrison
Yep.
or to Han.
Yep.
Not Harrison
Say-
Ford.
Yes, either way.
We see that
In
more
Last
so in
Jedi,
Last Jedi
yeah.
when he just doesn't kill his mom.
Yeah, he takes his hand off of the
Yeah.
the trigger.
And then we see like that story thread. We see it fully realized here, where he does eventually. Ben is alive, and Kylo dies, and it's done in such a way where I thought it was really emotional, like, and in a way that is very meaningful for Ben.
Mhm.
Like his memory. He's essentially just talking with the last memories of his dad. Like literally, he looks like it's the Han that we last see in the Force Awakens.
Yeah, exactly.
Both
yeah.
his parents
Yeah,
came
exactly.
in there.
Yeah. So I will say that that does bring me back to the thought on J.J. Abrams mechanically in this movie, and I think for all the jumping around, he does a good job of like really emphasizing who these characters are. I mean, even from the beginning, we see Kylo, and then we see us turn into Ben.
Yeah.
And
I mean, the very first frame of non-spaceship shot.
Yeah.
Once we get to the planet, it's him killing
Yes.
a bunch
and
of people.
Yeah, it's Kylo.
Yeah,
It's
that's Kylo. That's full Kylo being very Kylo.
And I
slam.
think
Or not choke slam.
J.J. Abrams executed that very well. And it was like another thing is that this movie seems
Spear,
more
rock bottom.
not just for kids, but speaking generational. It speaks to the generation.
Like when we say it's a movie made for kids, it's a movie made
Right.
for the kids and people that are kids at heart. That
For the
still,
youth.
That can still
Yeah.
find. Sorry. Battling cold, but they can still find like that sort of childlike spirit in themselves.
Of course.
I think the Last Jedi was definitely geared towards a more older audience because
mature,
it was dealing with a lot more esoteric
Yeah.
things like the ruminations of the Force and what does it actually mean do the Jedi own the Force and
Right.
the nature of the Sith and the Jedi that fly in the dark and all these other things. And I think this one sort of like has this similar things, especially towards the end. Holy crap! But it does it in a way where it's like it's such a fast movie. It does it in a way where like everybody, no matter how old you are, can really relate to these themes.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's a very clear and not in your face, but a very clear message about about accepting who you are and being who you are.
I'll do this together as long as we're together.
Right, as long because we were together. And that's the thing. Again with Ben's face turn, it is a matter of him accepting like the light in himself, and then also Rey facing herself or who she's afraid she'll become. So there are some. I believe there are some positive messages in that, and that's something I really appreciate about this movie. So.
That's an excellent point. Oh, and I remember
Okay.
the twist that we talked about.
Yeah.
It was Hux.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
I like that. I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
just
pretty
flying.
sad.
All right,
And
get out
I
there.
love
Shoot
Poe's
me.
reaction to that. He's just like, I
Why?
Yeah.
When he said what, I was like, what at the same time. Like, what? And I'm like, I said it too on the screen.
Finn's reaction to that was like, yeah, BS. You didn't know anything. Shut up.
I fucking love. I love that. I love
That
the
was
twist.
awesome.
Yeah. He's like, shoot me in the arms. So like, he shoots him in
And
the
speaking
leg.
of like character arcs and character development, like Poe's arc as growing into his leadership, role. Like he was the hotshot pilot, like the stereotypical hotshot pilot in the first movie,
Spice smuggler.
and then he was the sort of like
yeah.
he was sort of like the well-meaning but very 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 like mistaken commander in the Last Jedi, where he had the interest of the Resistance at heart, but he just wasn't leadership material. He was
short-sighted.
Yeah,
I
he was
think.
short-sighted. He was still acting impulsively and all those other things. And
Yes.
he didn't.
Flyboy.
And
Yep.
he didn't. Yeah,
One of
and,
those.
but he was the leader of men at that point, rather than just the leader of a squad. He was commanding large amounts of people. And I think in this movie where he realizes that, well, we have a lot of revelations about Poe in this movie, but the most important one is that he is much better as a leader here.
Yes.
He's learned his lessons. He's still learning his lessons. Like even he admits there's a one point where he goes to Leia, and just after Leia's death, which is a really sad fucking scene. And he's just not ready. Like he feels he's not ready, and then it takes another legacy character to sort of like bolster his confidence back up, which is Lando. And Lando's presence in this movie is a very welcome presence.
It worked. It because like he was asking Poe was asking Lando like, how did you do it?
Yeah.
You had a small like fleet. Like, how did you defeat an empire?
guys basically
like,
had
we did
each other.
together. We had each other.
other.
I was like, he needed to hear that, and that's great that Lando was put into this movie to give him that inspiration. I think worked.
And
really well.
and he's not. And Lando's presence is not wasted either.
No,
it's
it
not
isn't.
just. I don't feel like it's an extended cameo.
Again, it's not shoehorned in.
It's not
and it's not
shoehorned in. It has a
shoehorned
purpose.
either.
It has a purpose.
And the amount of Lando that we get is, I think, enough, just enough.
Yeah. That's fair.
he got to be back in his ship
Yes.
Yeah.
and do his thing.
And it was just, like after watching Solo and him like just loving his ship, and then seeing this now and just being back in the ship again and
For the third time.
Reunited
Yeah.
with L3.
yeah, reunited with L3, the love of his life. And just like seeing him be just piloting that ship and just having the time of his life. It was just a joy to see that. So, alongside Chewbacca, who even though it isn't played by Peter Mayhew anymore,
Yeah.
it's Junis. Last name is
It's
like Dutch
I
or
can't
something?
pronounce
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah,
he's
it's
also
complicated.
a tall motherfucker.
Yeah.
But he can.
He had the essence. He has an essence of
Yeah.
him.
It feels like Chewbacca. It
Feels
doesn't
like
feel like
Chewbacca,
it doesn't feel like
He wore
a
the costume
cosplayer.
well.
No.
So like Chewbacca in this movie, man, he goes through
He
a
stepped
lot.
up.
It does.
He stepped up in this one.
Yeah, he stepped
Yeah.
up, but he also goes through. Some
He goes
sh-
through a lot
Yeah.
of things.
Considering how.
Oh, that's he wrecked me,
yeah,
boy.
Yeah.
All of his
Oh
friends.
my god!
Like,
Oh
yeah, all
my
his friends are
god!
dead.
To be
All
that
their friends are
old,
dead.
because they actually, it's kind of funny because they mention his age at the very
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's like, what is it,
50?
250, something like that. yeah.
250 years
Yeah.
old at that point, and
Yeah.
then to be that long lived and to see most
Yeah.
of the people that you've.
Him and Lando left.
Oh, the misdirect with that too.
Yeah.
That was very.
Oh, yeah,
That was very EU as well.
Yeah.
Because he dies in the EU, and it's like, oh, shit, he's dead.
That was one thing about this that kind of pushed me that almost pushed me is like, oh, he's dead, no he's not, and then 3PO, it's like 3PO's gone, no he's not. I'm like, almost.
It took back a few things. It's that almost as if like things weren't at stake really. It's just like, oh,
Well,
okay.
I was telling him like there's 2 ships. One,
No,
two.
no, they
Oh,
said- no,
you
no,
knew-
yeah,
you
yeah,
noticed
you're
it.
right.
There were 2 ships.
Yeah, I noticed. I was like
I
1,
noticed
2.
that too. That's why I was thinking that he's probably on the other ship.
Yeah,
me
and,
too.
And I'm glad that they didn't like keep us in suspense for too long.
Yeah.
They basically acknowledge it, and then very next scene
Yeah,
after
exactly,
that.
yeah.
So like it wasn't like one of those.
It
things
was
where
so
it's like,
mad.
Oh, we're supposed to
I was
he's-
like, if you're gonna kill off Chewie, don't do it like that. You know?
He's not even doing it
yeah,
after.
no.
I was kind of confused. Like, well, hold on. I had my hands up like this for like 2 minutes. I was like, wait.
And then all
Like
of a sudden he's
Reagan.
alive.
Are you
Obviously, like
I do
There's no
understand
other
being
way,
upset
you're
about
right.
that, but in the EU, I don't remember. I didn't read the source material myself, but in the EU, didn't he die in an accident with? I think it was the Falcon, or was it just another
No,
transport?
he was saving Anakin.
Was it Anakin?
Yeah, he ran off the ship, saved Anakin, threw him
Okay.
back on the ship, but then the ship had to leave, or Falcon had to
is that what
leave.
it is? Okay.
So he got stuck on that moon, and then
Okay.
or he got stuck on the planet, and then the moon crashed into him.
Gotcha.
So they literally crashed the moon on Chewie.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
That's
Wow.
what it took. That's what it took to kill him in the EU.
Also, C-3PO, they're like, R2's the memory is shot
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah,
So
That was a good. That was a that hit though.
I mean,
With
they
the,
mentioned it, though.
let me see my friends. For the last time, I was like,
That was-
oh,
oh yeah,
Ow.
I know.
Oh yeah, that was
You
the
had
too.
to do
But-
it.
But
they
that wasn't the
mentioned
trailer, so it wasn't so bad because it wasn't the trailer. So.
no, who here actually saw the trailer?
I did.
Oh, I
yeah.
did. I did.
Oh, you never saw the
I
trailer.
never saw the
You
trailer.
never saw the trailer. That's why he was like,
That's-
he was like going, he was
In and out.
gasping, he was gasping at things that
Yeah.
I was like, I've seen this already. Why are you gasping?
Yeah, he doesn't like to spoil.
Yeah.
I remember you
watch
telling me
trailers.
that.
He doesn't
Yeah.
watch trailers.
You want to see it
rough,
pure.
man.
As soon as I
Yeah.
know
How
I'm
did
gonna
you
watch
watch
a film, I don't watch
Have
trailers.
you
Good on
watched
you.
any movies for the
Yeah.
past like 6 months? With
Uh,
knowing that, did you just walk out?
No,
No,
he would-
there were times where you just
he would
like,
just
oh,
go
okay,
like this.
all right.
Yeah.
He would see it. He would
That's
see it.
crazy.
He would immediately see it. He was like, all right, let me know when it's
Oh,
over.
because they
Yeah.
have the Star Wars
Lucasfilm
trailer
thing,
in
you know
Endgame.
immediately.
Yeah.
And then Brian's
Yeah, we were all
like,
watching
imme-
Endgame together,
It's
yeah.
like we're all in Endgame with our our
Oh,
mind and soul.
yeah,
And like, there's no escape, so he's like,
I turned to you, was like, just let me know when it's over.
Yeah, we did that because
Yeah.
we're good friends. We help friends not get spoiled by
Yeah,
shit.
you just gotta hum in your own head.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything.
I mean, I was literally walking to the theater going like this. Oh no no no
my
no,
goodness.
no, 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 just in case some idiot like
Yeah.
spoils it as we're walking in.
that's what, like, 3PO already had his memory wiped at one point.
He had his
Yeah,
memory
yeah,
wiped, but
like
he never
after
invented the
3.
Sith.
Yeah, after
After
3.
three, yeah.
The other thing that I liked about that, a little nice little nugget of information when he says, when they're like, oh no, R2 has a backup, and then he's like, oh no, R2 units are like notorious for memory.
Yeah.
Like, that gives
Yeah.
a total excuse for like, why, like in the original trilogy, why
He
like,
doesn't.
like Obi-Wan doesn't
Say- yeah, recognize.
Obi-Wan's just probably playing full.
Yeah.
But like, you know how like R2 doesn't like
Yeah.
tell 3PO like, oh, I know this guy. He's Obi-Wan. I know him. So, I just like that little.
It's
Yeah.
a nice little like nugget to
Yeah.
explain away things
Yeah.
that like
Totally
that nag
all
people.
things,
But
yeah.
there's a when Luke comes back as a Force Ghost, which we all expected, so it wasn't a big surprise.
Oh yeah.
I like the things that he was poking fun at. He's kind of like one of those cheeky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Yoda was.
The big thing is like him when he's like lifting his T65 out of the.
Oh, that
water.
reminded me of
And like,
Empire.
he was like
I can do
that.
this now.
Yeah, and then like almost he sort of has that smirk on his
Yeah,
face.
yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
I
I
get
get
it.
it.
I just like watch this, Master Yoda.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Watch that, Master Yoda. I could do it too.
And then the thing where he's talking about like a Jedi's weapon
Yeah, it's like,
should be
just
respected. You
respect it.
should
Yeah.
just
And
throw
yeah,
it.
yeah. You just did that.
You should just throw it.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
he was in a
I'm
bad
like,
place.
okay, good. That's funny. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he's not like he's still like as a Force Ghost. Even he's still Luke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very much.
And it's like it was a good scene for Mark Hamill to do. I think it was a great way to like have Luke's character still be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That the one that really helps Rey at the end.
Mhm.
The one that sort of bolsters. Really, it's kind of like Lando and Poe,
Yep.
which is Luke and Rey, like bolstering her confidence and bolstering the fact that like Rey isn't necessarily a chosen one. I still think it's Luke, but like Luke is helping guide this new iteration of that the future of whatever that is. That's gonna turn
This
into
group of people. All right, now we can do this.
because it's not like the Jedi is returning, even though she is the Jedi at this point.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing that I was kind of struggling with a little bit, with the whole like, the Jedi and the Sith don't need to exist anymore for the Last Jedi, and then it's like, but then you're kind of making her a Jedi. I don't know.
But here's the
But
thing:
then
is she?
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
She's like to me, she's something new.
Yeah.
She's
And
just
she's
maybe a
she's
great-
Ray Skywalker.
Yeah.
That's it.
Necessarily need
Like
to be.
she's nobody calls her a Jedi Master at
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
Nobody calls her. She's not knighted or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like she's starting an order.
No.
You know what I mean?
And she has a non-traditional color. Of
Yeah, so
lightsaber.
she's a very non-traditional. Like in that universe, and at that point in time, it's non-traditional.
Yeah.
They had
in
yellow
the
before
Disney
and-
canon, it's
Okay,
Yeah.
it's not like a great Jedi thing. It's like a-
not yet.
There's no great Jedi
Okay.
in.
in the
Yeah.
Disney.
Yeah.
So interesting thing about that too. You guys did notice, of course, like Hayden Christensen's line that he delivered.
What did he
said?
say?
He said, "Bring balance to the Force as I did." So
Huh.
And you can see that from a certain point of view.
Yes.
Kind of did. Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Yeah.
interesting thing
Yeah.
about Rey's story.
At that
too.
point, you're at zero sum.
Yeah.
Like, because when he did it, there's still technically Luke.
Yeah.
There's no balance.
Like we're all that's left of. Well, no, they're still Force users
Yeah,
because
still Force
it
users.
implies.
And
Finn-
Yeah,
Finn-
Finn
Finn,
says
yeah.
like, oh, he
Finn's
felt
Force
it.
sensitive.
Yeah, he's
Something
Force
like that.
sensitive,
Yeah.
which sort of explains why he held up against Kylo for as long as he did.
Yeah.
in Force
Yeah.
Awakens
Poe's supposed to be somewhat sensitive because of
Well,
the tree.
because of the tree.
Yeah.
He was raised by a Force tree.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
That's basically what it was. It's like,
It was a Force tree.
Wait, she has Force lightning. So does she have like both
She has
light in the
access,
dark.
access
yeah.
to like dark
Yeah.
side as well?
but then
But
she,
then look,
she
You can
it's
move
not,
between.
Okay.
she can move in between, but she has to
She has-
access the emotions.
so she has to have the discipline then to like
Yeah.
not like fall into the.
Because she
So at this point in time, you're right. She's zero sum. She can go either way. She can either go light or dark. But I think she chose the path of light. At least not being evil.
Yeah.
But it is a yellow lightsaber, a very non-traditional color at that time.
Yeah.
We've only ever seen the green and the blue
Yep.
and the red,
and one purple.
and one purple.
It's only because he wanted to see himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Pick himself out of the crowd real
Like,
fast.
oh,
And
that's me.
it's a very unique looking lightsaber.
Yes.
We can
Yeah.
speculate all these things about like why did she pick that that type of lightsaber design and all these other things. So it's just interesting. But I'm glad that like it can end just right here. We don't have to. We don't need more anymore. Like that story is done, and then we
Yeah.
can explore other characters like
Yeah.
they're doing now with the Mandalorian. I know that they're revisiting Obi-Wan, but I want to see that. I want to see.
Everyone wants
Yeah.
to see
I want to
Yeah.
see them revisit Obi-Wan.
Definitely.
But then after that, after Obi-Wan, and then Mandalorian season 2, the sky's the limit with the Star Wars universe with Disney Plus. They can
Lando
go.
and that girl.
Wait, where's
Yeah,
Lando.
Lando and
Yeah.
that girl, they can have their own
Yeah.
Disney Plus series
where's the
as
Obi-Wan
long as
show fall into?
That's supposed to
Is
be
it Clone Wars or
No.
after
This
three?
is on Tatooine.
When he's alive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When he's alive.
Yeah.
When he ages 30 years in the span of 10.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So it's we're probably not gonna see his duel with Maul as portrayed.
Oh,
in
like the
Rebels.
one in the
Yeah, that's
Rebels.
fine.
We're gonna
three
see
strike.
We're gonna see it's gonna be before that, and
Yes.
after the very last scene in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
whatever that time period is, we'll be seeing that.
We get to decide how he decides on his haircut. You know, from the short Padawan to the just accidentally mistaken for Jesus in some pictures, to the you know, the formal comb over, and then to the buzz cut. So yeah, the real progression of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for that because I thought Ewan McGregor was the best thing about the prequels
Definitely,
by far.
yeah.
And so they're taking the best thing about the prequels and making a series out of it. So that's cool. Hey, look! Leave Jar Jar alone.
He's
Yeah.
already
He had enough.
Look!
already
It's like
Yeah.
Ahmed Best has already taken enough shit about that, and like
Yeah.
the guys had enough, and I'm glad that they invited him back to.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it's not that he was
Very
never
celebration.
invited, but I'm glad that he
Yeah.
came.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he graced us with his presence at celebration.
You know,
because
that's not
he
the end
could
of
have
it.
said no.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, with all the
You heard about the Jedi Temple like reality or game show kind of thing, right?
What do you mean?
So I believe it's going to be on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's the host of the
He's
show.
the host of
yeah,
Jedi
yeah.
Temple. Yeah.
And it's basically. Oh, I hope it's
Legends of
basically
the Hidden Temple.
the Star Wars
yeah.
version of Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah.
That'll be great. I'd watch that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
all playing, right?
We're all playing, right?
We're not
good.
kids anymore.
It's for
It
Let's
is-
get back to the movie.
Is it for adults or is it for kids? No, it's
So-
for kids.
Okay.
It's a kids show, dude.
So consensus on the movie. Like, how did you?
Oh.
Like, ultimately, to wrap up, how
I
how
think-
would you?
yeah,
sum it up.
in as few words as I possibly can, which is hard for me. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think it needed to be this, and what this is a fitting ending to the whole. Not only just this sequel trilogy, but for the whole saga in general. And I think
the closure you need.
yeah, it gave us closure. It gave us satisfying endings for everybody. And it also opened up new story threads, non-saga story threads that we could follow if we wanted to, and in other mediums.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a new TV series or anything. It could be novels, it could be video games, whatever, comic books. So yeah, I think Star Wars. I personally think Star Wars right now is in a good place, and this just sort of cements Disney Star Wars as like a very meaningful thing.
Yeah.
In my experience with Star Wars in general. So.
Mark is going on the record to say you liked episode 9.
Yes, I liked Episode 9. I liked the Rise of Skywalker. So
Should.
Did you like it, TJ?
Oh, I loved it. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the biggest thing that I can say about this and that I took away from it is that I was satisfied with this film. So I really enjoyed it. I flat out loved it, and it left me feeling satisfied. So there you go.
I didn't love it, but I liked it a lot because I loved A New Hope.
And you're certainly welcome to.
Yeah. But I liked it a lot. I did because it was satisfying. It was so much fun to watch. As a filmmaker, it looks pretty. Like I find the shots, the cinematography look pretty, and the combat is very very well done. I think the only two things that I talked to TJ about this was the only things we were missing that I wanted to know what Mas Kanata said about the about the sabers. Like,
Yeah,
story for
sabers,
another time.
yeah.
Maybe it was cut, and then the other one was
maybe a Disney
what-
Plus series.
Yeah, right. And Finn
got
saying
his
his thing, but
confession.
but I mean it's
Yeah.
neither here or there. But
Yeah.
if they said it, I kind of want to know what he says. Well, I liked it a lot. I think it would be like my fourth or fifth favorite out of the 10 or 11.
9. I mean, if you add the
other
Rogue
two.
One and
Yeah.
Solo.
Yeah. But even though I say I didn't love it, I liked it so much. Because it was just it's a culmination of everything that I grew up with. Being born on the opening day of Return of the Jedi, I said that ad nauseum because it like pretty much I don't know, I guess it was written into my life because of that. Yeah. So
As an aside, though,
Yeah.
Rey rebuilt Anakin's lightsaber, right?
She did.
Because didn't it
Well,
split in half?
I think it's
It's
implied with the
split.
help with
Yeah.
the help of Leia.
Yep.
yeah.
So she kept, she did take the pieces at the end of.
She did.
Yeah. So that was rebuilt.
Yeah.
So now that with this movie we know that Leia can build her.
Yeah.
That's- I don't want to go back on it.
You're not
I really don't want to go back on it. Well, the thing that
Wait.
bugs me so much about like toxic fans are just like,
Oh, okay.
it's like, oh yeah, like the whole.
Get ready for the comment section on this.
Oh my
video.
God.
Holy
Oh.
shit.
Nobody watches these videos. Nobody watches.
Not until you
So-
tag it with
Yeah, no,
something.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, like-
These are just for us.
All right, so you know how like Last Jedi, she basically taps into her Force powers and she's like, oh yeah,
You mean the
that's
Mary
how,
Poppins moment
Yeah,
that
right.
everybody hates?
She
It's
said-
not Mary Poppins.
I know, it's
she
not.
was pulling herself in
pulling
the
herself,
goddamn
yeah.
ship.
She was
I
pulling
saw
herself
that
in.
movie yesterday, and I'm like, how does that look like she's flying? She literally puts this, and she keeps pulling.
Space.
Imagine there's a
Yeah,
rope.
there's no gravity.
Imagine there's a
so
pulley.
It's like she could pull
She's
herself.
getting dragged by the Force. She's not flying. Fucking shit.
Yeah.
That pisses me off so much. God damn it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's the thing that always bugs me. Like, basically what Mark reacted to, that is how I react on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like,
As
you know,
do I,
and then you
yeah.
see how she was training in the Force. She was trained to be a Jedi. Like, it's there. Like, she just didn't grab it out of nowhere. Like people always like to claim, right? Like, people just, I don't know. Anyways, back to my. that was just something
Before
like,
that, though,
ugh.
as an aside, do you think people are going to complain about the new,
Yes.
new Force powers that
Oh, they're
appeared
gonna
in this
complain.
film?
They're gonna complain about it. Yeah.
The teleportation of like,
Force protection.
Which I
Like,
thought was clever because they
Yeah.
set that up in the last
Yeah.
Last Jedi, and they really used that
Yeah,
fucking
they-
thing.
they-
They didn't back down on
they-
Jedi FaceTime.
Jedi face down.
Yeah.
In fact, they upgraded it so that you
They
could actually.
they doubled down on it.
They not, yeah, they doubled down on it, and
So you
it's
can
more than
get
just
stuff.
It's more than just water on the face this
Yeah,
time.
this time
When
was
Kylo
Yeah.
grabbed the
Yeah,
necklace,
and that's a great foreshadowing of what
Of her getting the
of
lightsaber.
the payoff
Yeah.
at the very end.
That was great. I love
That's
that. That was
clever.
like
That's
just
fucking awesome.
grab it. It's
Why
like,
can't the Force evolve?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be this set
Yeah,
amount
and
of
that's-
things?
Yeah.
That's the whole
And
point
it's like-
of
Yeah, it's just like then all of a sudden like Force, like the established Force powers are all sacrilegious and you can't add anything to it. Whatever. Get out of here.
Yeah, you can't be a gatekeeper to
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that
Stop-
can
you know,
evolve.
to this
Stop being-
space
yeah.
fantasy film
Yeah.
that's made up in the mind of like creators. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all of this is actually real.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking hell.
Let the hate flow through you.
It's just it boggles my mind. Okay, I'm just gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.
All right, so sorry for that aside.
That's all right.
That was tangent that like I don't know. It was boiling up in me, and it was just like it had to come out for a little bit. But yeah, I loved it. Yeah, like I said earlier, it's like probably 4. I'd rank it 4. Yeah, there's just a lot of payoffs. There's a lot of callbacks to past movies that I really enjoyed. So yeah, I mean, like, you know, basically covered. Or, these guys already basically covered it, and you know, I hope people enjoy it. That's my hope. But I mean, people are gonna be toxic about it, and you know, I kind of just shut that off now. And you know, it's fine. If you love it, you love it. If you don't, then whatever. That's fine. Just leave it.
Just don't try to convince people who
Yeah,
love
don't
it to
do-
hate
just,
it.
Yeah.
That's the
I'm
dark
not-
side power.
Yeah, I'm not here to convince like you to love it or hate it.
We're just
I loved it,
saying
yeah.
that we like it.
Yeah.
That's all we're saying. We're not trying to convince people
I'm done with that.
to,
You know, I'm
to
just
love
done with
things.
that.
You know what I mean?
So-
Love what you love, hate what you hate,
Yeah.
whatever. That's on you.
Yeah.
So this is on us. We love this movie.
Yeah.
Oh well, he liked it a lot, but we love this movie.
Yeah.
And so like we're not trying to convince anybody to watch it. I mean, fucking hell, this thing's gonna make $1 billion anyway. So
Yep, with or without you.
yeah, so with or without all the hate or whatever.
It's fine.
so.
So if you hate it, then just, you know, you don't have to be a part of this fandom anymore. It's whatever. Anyway, I like that it does open up a lot of things. I'm very excited about the Disney things that are like the Disney parks kind of things that are gonna come out of it. I was telling Mark like at the end, I was just looking at everything, and I was just like, there's so many things I want Disney done as now. Like there's so many things I want to do. Like so, like the Burning Man Jedi or Star Wars Burning Man.
Burning Man.
They did the life So they did the
life
Life Day
celebration.
Yeah, Life Day,
celebration,
like, yeah.
complete with the red robed
Yeah.
light orb.
That's what I thought it was.
So
I thought it was Life Day.
I bet you there's gonna be a whatever the hell that
Yeah,
celebration
whatever
is
that
called,
was.
and everybody's gonna learn how to do that
Yeah, you
dance.
need to know how to do
We have
that.
to wear all the pastel
Yeah.
stuff.
It
That'd
was
be
simple
great.
enough for normal people to do.
Yeah.
You don't have to
And
be a
then we're
trained
all
dancer.
gonna do it at like what 4 p.m. in the middle of Batu.
So, yeah, I'm just-
and
yeah.
it's gonna be awesome,
Yeah.
and the cast members will join us.
Yeah, it's
I mean, the citizens of Batu will join us. Ray will probably join us. Kylo at this point might join us. So.
yeah. So
And hopefully
I'm
my friend Chewie will.
Yeah.
And my friend who's on the other side of the.
Yeah, Force Order people might just like pretend to sort of dance with
That's
us.
actually kind of cool.
No, remember my friend,
yeah.
the First Order commander?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were.
I
you hear
wasn't
about that?
there.
You hear
I
about
saw
that?
it.
Yeah.
Just, like walked up to him and was like, oh shit.
I have friends on both sides of it.
Well, Dawn canonically has an enemy in
I know.
or not enemy,
Chewie.
but like Chewie hates.
It's a lovely, it's a friendly rivalry. I like to call it. But yeah, I'm excited about the Disney Park stuff that they're gonna do. Whenever they release that merch.
Oh, it's gonna be so
'Cause,
good.
Yeah, that I do want. I feel like what they should do is have like Leia's in Doc Ondar's, and then have Rey's as like a fifth option in Savi's.
Yeah.
So you could build Rey's, like
Like
kind
a
of have it like
scavenger. Oh,
like
yeah,
a
like-
scavenger type kind
Yeah.
of thing. So hopefully,
And you know what?
I think that would be cool.
You know what they might do? Have both Anakin, Luke's lightsaber, and Leia's lightsaber as a bundle.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be
All
great.
wrapped
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
thing. Kinda
So like I'm excited for that kind of stuff. So.
And the Rise of Resistance.
Oh yeah, and then
Rise
Rise
of
of
Resistance.
Oh my God.
I want to see how that ties into.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
also very tempted to go to Disneyland tomorrow because they're releasing new Star Tours footage.
Oh, was
From
it
the
new
new trilogy? Yeah,
footage,
from-
right?
from- yeah.
Oh, sick.
So they're adding new scenes, and I'm like, I kind of want to go to
Which
just check it out.
scenes, maybe?
Yeah, and I was thinking like, I kind of went
ice
to the
thing?
movie. Yeah, I kind of went to the movie thinking like, okay, what are they gonna use? And I was just like
think the
trying to
Sixth
like
Planet was
be
sick.
mindful of all the flying
Yeah,
scenes and just like see what
Sixth
they're
Planet.
gonna
Maybe
use.
the final.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
still at AP? Sweet.
Dude, what if one of those ships in the
I'm
big
still
battle,
AP,
the
but
final
I
battle
got
is
work tomorrow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So like
could
they could have it in the final battle. They could
Yeah.
they could go
One of
into
the
the
millions of
corridor.
ships.
Yeah, dude.
Just like from that point, I'm excited what they could use from there,
Yes.
bringing it into the parks.
the beauty of that ride. You could just add
Yeah.
stuff.
Same thing with Smuggler's Run. You
Yeah,
could, you
Smuggler's Run could be you. Like,
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah,
could,
yeah.
We could
Reprogram
follow
this.
Post Dameron's footsteps
Yeah.
and be Spice.
Oh, man.
Spice
Spice
Runners.
Runners.
Yeah.
Poe
So, yeah,
Damerons.
that's basically my take.
Can't wait till
But,
next week's kid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was-
skipping. Now!
Falcons on fire. Yeah, that's the other thing. I really enjoyed the back and forth between like the three core characters.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lot of like very friendly like pandering to each other or like very I don't know. Yeah, that part like it's just like a lot of that stuff is like it's because at this point in the timeline they're like great friends with each other.
And,
And it's like,
and we finally get to see them all together
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
on
yeah.
a couple of
Yeah.
adventures before they split apart at the end.
yeah. So it's I really enjoyed that, and I feel like that makes it even better. Just because it's like they're always split up in the first in Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and
Up until
the fact that
now.
they're together going on adventures that was cool.
Yeah.
Another
So-
spoiler.
first time.
Going on like treasure hunts.
Yeah.
Was it, what is it called? Raylo? That's acknowledged.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So they acknowledge it, but in a way that at least I'm glad that they did that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like it would have been weird had it continued even more.
Yeah. From where that was left, I was like, okay, that was good. That's.
I'm
where
glad
it
that
needs
like
to be.
I'm
like,
glad
yeah.
that like the spark of Raylo was there
Yeah.
and then it went away.
Yeah.
You
You don't need to go any further
Which
than
gives
Yep.
my boy Finn a chance.
Personally, I'm a Poe Ray.
Whoa.
shipper.
They
I'm a
sort
Poe
of-
Ray
they-
shipper.
That's kind
They
of.
kind
I'm
of
a Poe
hinted
Ray
at
shipper.
that
Yeah,
at the end
at
of
Last Jedi. Yeah, and then
but
they
I'm
kinda
glad
didn't-
that like
they didn't-
Poe
they
has
didn't-
somebody else.
His
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
Carrie Russell.
Was that
Felicity.
Carrie Russell?
Okay,
Yes,
it was
yes,
Carrie
yes,
Russell.
Felicity.
That stupid like interaction where it's like that back and forth. And
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
yeah.
No.
Leave it to Star Wars how you can like always tell someone's expression even though they've got a full helmet on.
Yeah, especially in Mandalorian and then with Carrie with Felicity.
I'm glad that her character
Lot of
came back too.
expressions.
Like I like her character design. I like her sassiness. Man, fucking, she's super sassy.
Yeah.
That's cool. No wonder Poe likes her a lot. And I like the fact that it's another competent just person in Star Wars
Yep.
doing competent things. It doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man. She's just a competent Star Wars person doing. Like she happens to not suck at her job, which
Yep.
is so. Yeah, it's like they have a great new set of cast members here to mine in future media, whether it's a fucking series or novels or comic books or even video games.
Yeah. There's so many things that go with it.
I wouldn't
That's what
mind
I like.
a video game based on that character. I actually wouldn't mind. Maybe this could be a Fallen Order DLC where we get to see Leia's training with Luke. You know what I mean?
I mean, they kind of did that with not that exactly, but they did tie-ins with Battlefront.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, and also the fucking Star Destroyer surface battle.
Oh, yeah.
That's totally Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's something that we've seen in a video game.
Yeah.
We have to see a full-on fight. And I was like, oh, cool. All right, yeah, that's awesome. A lot of the battle scenes and the action set pieces are really cool.
It landed on a Star Destroyer.
It's pretty.
That was cool.
Yeah.
It still doesn't. I still think Return of the Jedi still has like the best space battle.
Yeah.
Not just because it's all practical and everything, but just
Between-
so dynamic.
Yeah.
And Rogue One is up there with two.
Yeah.
Because they're all tightly focused battles, whereas this one it's like a huge space battle on the
There's
opposite.
a lot of things going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of
They
things.
didn't spend a
going
lot of time on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they went back to the formula. Like they have you have your space battle, you have your ground battle, and you have your force battle.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean, it's very Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Except I think, in a way, done more dynamically. I don't want to say better, but like way more dynamically. Because there are a lot of lulls and dead spots in
In
the way Return.
Yeah.
Especially because of the Ewoks.
yeah.
Well, now you have a blueprint of what's been done, and
Yeah.
then also you have the advancement in in cinematic tools and
Right.
stunt work and stuff like that. So
Yeah, like you said
Yeah.
before, like everything was just much more dynamic and
so you could do so much more.
yeah, it's great. It's great.
And I like it. I mean, it's for me, it's like always the combat, the space combat, the ground combat, the melee combat. It's been all well done. Even in the prequels, I love the prequel fights. I mean, they're.
Yeah, you can't.
It shows just the evolution of cinematic fighting.
like the set pieces in
street fighting.
all Star Wars, whether it's original trilogy,
Yeah,
prequel,
they're all good.
they were the state of the art at the time
Yeah,
that they were
they're
made.
product of their
so-
time, and they were like ahead of the game.
So you can't really complain about like all those things.
So yeah, final take. I liked it. I loved it. No, actually, the more I talk about it, like it's starting to rise a little bit from 4, and it's starting to get into
The Rise of Skywalker is rising.
It's rising. It's
We
like,
can do another
We're
round.
gonna do a
We'll-
follow-up to
While
this.
we're playing
the
Monster
second
Hunter.
one. This is still the first impression.
Yeah, this is only first impression.
yeah, so I'm still
That's
gonna
why we're sitting here in the cold. outside of the
watching
theater.
it tomorrow again in Dolby.
Yo,
and
Dolby.
then watching it again on Sunday night in Dolby.
Good,
So
good,
it's like
good.
I need
I'm
Mike,
just soaking it in.
I'm going to see it in 40X, so I'm going to ride the Star Wars. I'm going to ride the Star. I'm going to get the lightsaber fight with all the water. Man, I'm going to get there's going to be like water. I'm going to be slapped with water during that fight.
Wait, what time are we watching it?
I'm watching it at 8:10 with Nathan.
At night?
Yeah.
It's,
it's gonna be crazy.
Go
over there.
Oh! Been pretty quiet, Ryan.
What, you want to watch it? You want to watch it?
I
Like
fucking
that?
love this. Fucking
There you
movie,
go.
man. Shit.
What
What you talking about? Best movie ever.
Best movie ever. Oh,
Motherfuckers.
that's what I like to hear.
As far as finales go, man, this is something there with Return of the King, man.
Ooh.
I'll do it twice. You
Nice.
care?
Any
Obviously, this is first,
Oh,
impressions.
first impressions? Okay.
Nothing to add. That's all.
Oh.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they already got me.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was very, very entertaining.
Did you like episodes 7 and 8?
I did.
You liked them both? Okay.
I like them both. But I think out of these trilogy, I think this one's probably my favorite. My favorite scene is probably the flashback with Luke and Leia. I really like that. That was so cool, man.
Yeah.
Feels weirdly, but we never see that.
It's
That's
just
the first time we ever see
it's
that.
just so that was so nice to see.
You liked all the what's it called? Callbacks.
Yeah.
Previous films.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. I need to watch it again for sure. But right now, it's good. I like it. The story,
My
everything.
favorite part
Oh.
is when freaking Ben got the swagger of his dad, dude.
Yeah,
Fuck, dude, that was
I forgot all
fucking great,
about, like,
man.
when Ben
Yeah, swagger
changes,
is
he changes.
Yeah.
He got the swag, like, when he landed on and he's like, ow.
Yeah.
And we shot those guys with the blasters, and then we got that lightsaber. He's like,
Yeah, he became his dad.
it's like, oh, dude, that was
It was like
It was
watching
a little
young
shock,
Harrison
yeah.
Ford.
young
going
Harrison
through
Ford
there.
right there. Yeah.
His father's son.
Yeah.
It would have been
It's
nice
not just
to,
a
in an
Skywalker,
alternate
he is a
time.
solo.
Yeah, he's a solo. That's true.
Solo, dude.
In an alternate timeline, it would have been nice to see that version of Ben.
Yeah.
Just be Ben.
Yeah.
And maybe
Well,
'cause-
like when you see the flashbacks in Last
His
Jedi,
Jedi- yeah, his
it's like,
Jedi
oh, I
robes.
kind of wish I'd see more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that we get to see that sort of in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book that's coming
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Well, that's, I think it released today, actually.
Yeah, it released today. So we get to see that in the formation of the Knights of
Yeah.
Ren. Who he totally
Knights
takes
of Ren.
out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, like they were beating the crap out of him at first before he got that lightsaber.
Yeah.
But he was kind of holding his own for a little bit. So
Yeah.
I mean,
I just realized they were throwing blaster blasts, weren't they?
Oh,
They were.
Yeah,
they
they
weren't
were
just stopping them. They were
around.
throwing them.
Yep.
That's cool. I like that.
yeah, like that elevated their use of the force. Both of them. They're both their uses of the force. in that final part.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was amazing to see that portrayed on screen rather than in a video game or in a comic book or just reading about it. It was just cool to see it portrayed on screen. I'm like, yes, this is not the old generation anymore. These are
Powers
force
evolve.
users. Yeah, the powers are evolving.
Yeah.
They're changing, not necessarily for the better or the good, but they're just changing because these are different characters and they've learned different things.
They become more clever. And
They
figure
are
out different
they are
things.
what they are going beyond their masters.
I do have a question though, and like, as maybe you guys can answer this. 'Cause I'm still a little bit
find out.
confused. So, I think it was in the Force Awakens where Luke was training the Knights of Ren too, right?
No.
It's a different group. Yeah.
Oh, it was a different group.
Yeah, he had his own. Like,
Oh, okay.
That's
I
the
thought-
whole
'cause
point.
I
That's
thought-
the whole
I thought
point
that's
of the
what-
comic
yeah.
book.
Yeah,
It
it's the whole-
explains.
yeah.
So we actually
I thought
You know-
that's what he said, right?
don't
Or like was
like-
it a different group?
Yeah,
I don't
he.
know. I could
Well,
be
I
wrong.
mean, so
he took like it basically what
Kylo kills, or Kylo takes down Luke, and then
Kills
he
the other
kills other
students.
Jedi,
The other
and then
students, yeah.
he takes people that were aligned with him, that felt the same.
and then they
And then-
formed.
Well, I don't know
Well-
if they necessarily formed.
Well, that's
Knights
the
of Ren.
whole
Yeah,
point of the
that's
comic
what-
book.
yeah, that's the point of the comic book.
We have to
Find
read the
out.
comic
Yeah.
to see how
They
the,
probably do. I
Yeah.
feel like that's.
it's implied, but
Yeah.
I think that the true formation of the
Everyone
Knights of
finds
Ren will be portrayed in the comic book
Oh,
that was
gotcha.
just released.
So we don't know yet.
So we don't even know
Not
because
100%.
we haven't read the
Because-
comic book. They
Because
just,
like, yeah, I think that's something they don't really explain much, like the films. Like,
Yeah.
who are the Knights of Ren?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we just know them, but we don't know
like
exactly
Snoke
where.
mentions them once in the first movie, and that's it. That's
Right.
all we
Yeah.
ever get of the
Yeah.
Knights of Ren.
Yep.
And then they come back in this one.
Yep.
So yeah, there you go.
So I think a lot of people thought they got an upgrade, and they're the throne room guys.
Oh,
in Last Jedi.
I mean, they might as well be.
Yeah,
They're like
they might be at that
they're
point.
that version of
Yeah.
those Red Throne Room guys, except they're the Knights of Ren instead of just the Praetorian Guard or whatever they were called. Snoke's Praetorian Guard.
They have a completely different fighting style. They do Chinese
Yeah.
test stuff, and then the Knights of Ren do more like European martial arts.
Well, they're all outfitted in,
Yeah.
in more European.
No,
and weaponry too.
Heavy
Yeah.
armor.
Yeah. Axes.
There was. I mean, he does say, like when he's recounting the history, he does. Luke does say that Ben took some of his students with him.
Yeah, but he
So-
doesn't say that those were the Knights of Ren specifically.
Yeah.
It's kind of implied,
Yeah.
but we
There's
don't
no
get
official
the
Because
connection
like
yet.
at first,
Right.
Yeah.
I just
yet.
thought that, so it's like, wouldn't they also be, use the Force and like
Which
have like
we didn't see them
lightsabers,
do
so-
that much. That's
Right.
Interesting. So yeah.
Who knows?
Fanboys.
That's a loose end.
And that
right
could
there.
have been something
we
that
don't know.
Kylo implemented.
Yeah,
he
pretty
doesn't. He
much.
wants to be the only person with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like who? Like why would you outfit
Yeah.
people that have similar powers to you with a weapon that can potentially take you down, right?
Do I get my lightsaber now, Kylo? No, you get the nice club. You get an axe. Yeah, you get a hammer. You get
As far as I know, like
lightsaber is mine.
even the like Star Sidious guards on the Death Star too, they had force pikes.
They did, yeah.
And we got to see a little bit of that in Rebels, how they're actually used to, like suspend people in the air and to like restrain people. So even his personal guard didn't have lightsabers, and you gotta probably assume that his guards were trained in the Force, or at least to recognize the Force if they're not Force sensitive.
Because there was like plenty of weaponry in that universe that counteracts a lightsaber blade.
Vibro blades.
Yeah, fire blades, dark sabers, the
Dark
the
sabers,
the
yeah.
stuff that what those what do you call it?
Random cards.
No, in the prequels, those the Trade Federation they had.
Yeah,
like those
no,
staff.
what are you saying?
the
Previous
Magna
Magna
Cards.
Cards.
Oh, those
yeah.
are Magna-
They
oh,
had
okay.
the
Ryan's right. He said Magna
Yeah,
Cards.
yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. I was like, I didn't know the name.
You got him.
They had those like staffs that can block lightsabers.
Yeah.
That does set an interesting precedent for the Stormtrooper stun baton. How that was.
Oh yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
stuff,
That could
stuff.
be just more advanced
Tech.
version of
6
that.
spins.
Yeah.
They didn't make a series one of those.
Liang Yang,
Yeah.
who was in Mission Impossible fighting
The
Tom
one that
Cruise
beat the shit out of Tom
Yeah.
Cruise and Henry Cavill.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, yeah, what's his name?
Yeah, Liang Yang.
Yeah.
Still talking about Star Wars here?
Tangentially.
Yeah.
So basically, that Palpatine was a clone, right?
Don't know.
Don't
I
know.
feel as
That's
though
what
it
they
was a
said,
clone.
I think.
I feel as because
It was
his face wasn't deformed. Like that was every time he had a scene. I was very like, that just looks like Ian
I
McGregor.
think it probably is a clone.
Yeah.
Because they showed the clones of
Because Snoke is definitely
Snoke, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right,
manufactured.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say he's cloned. He's like he's just
manufactured.
He was created.
he's created out of fucking whatever, probably remnants of his own DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it in tanks.
And,
There's, like,
and
no
it turns out
clones.
Snoke was a puppet the whole time. Which fair enough.
Oh, he said the line too. He's like the what do you call it? The Sith have many powers that are deemed unnatural.
Yeah.
Like, he said the line.
Yeah. Oh yeah. From Revenge. I mean, that's basically they're taking threads from all the movies,
Which,
and that was
the last one
that
is
was
shit.
that was Palpatine's way of trying to live forever.
Yeah.
It wasn't even through the Force; it was through fucking technology. I like the fact that he loves his orders. So
The final order.
Order
Order 66, yeah.
what was the one in Battlefront? The one that
It's
right-
Operation Cinder.
Okay,
Yeah,
Operation.
so that wasn't the order.
It wasn't an order.
He must
it
not
was an
have made that
operation. Order, operation, order.
Order of operations.
Order
They
of
probably
operation.
didn't have the order number.
Yeah.
They just
didn't say it,
probably
yeah.
thought like.
But he loves giving orders. He does, that guy. And you know, like I think people are going to complain about the Death Stars, or not the Death Star, the Star Destroyers as being mini Death Stars.
Yeah, I can see that. They're just mini Death
Yeah.
Stars.
It's tech. It's tech that
Yeah.
evolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just smaller this
It's
time.
an expansion
Yeah.
of the dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot easier to swallow than suddenly, hey, here are these World Devastator things. And
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going,
Oh
"What's
yeah,
that?"
yeah. What's a World Devastator?
Yeah.
It looks like a huge
So-
box with shit underneath it, just going over planets.
And
Okay.
that's essentially what it was. It was a one capital ship sized craft that
Went on a
and fucked up
surface.
a planet.
But they're
Fucked up a
basically
planet.
they're Imperial class, right? They weren't.
They were Imperial. They
Okay.
were ISDs. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't like sure because the lead ship was that was a first order ship.
That was the first order
Yeah.
Star Destroyer. Yeah.
I do like, man, those Sith uniforms look pretty snazzy, actually.
The
I gotta
Sith
say,
or the,
man,
in general.
no, there's just the Sith aesthetic looks pretty pleasing to my eye. I can see, probably yeah, old, like it's definitely a throwback to like the Empire, but like even more refined.
Yeah.
Man, dude, bad guys always dress up so nicely.
I think they're gonna have it over at Galaxy's Edge.
have the-
Maybe,
Which
but they're Sith. They're not First Order.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so it wouldn't
so
be the
they-
Force Order outpost then.
It might be.
Are you talking about the uniforms? Or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Or the troopers?
Not the troopers, like the actual like dress uniform.
Oh yeah, I love that
They're
red
they're
trim.
slick.
It was just
Like,
like
it's
so
nice
clean.
looking.
Yeah.
Even though they're fucking space Nazis of the worst kind.
Of the Force-
It's fine.
Yep.
They're sick.
always
They're
works out.
cool looking.
It's fine, right?
Yeah.
Mark, to answer your question, the evil empire just has the budget for that.
I know, right?
Whereas the resistance and the rebellion
Resistance,
are
they just wear
patchwork.
whatever
they
whatever
find.
whatever they're wearing. You're the
Fine.
resistance,
They're just
right?
people.
I'm using old X-wings and old helmets.
Oh yeah, and
together.
speaking of which, I love Red 5 when
Yep.
when Finn was like Red 5 is
Red 5 is here.
Yep.
Red 5 is coming in on the scanners, and I'm like, yes, they called it Red 5.
Exactly.
Luke's
Finally.
But yeah, like that piece of nostalgia got me. I was like, they're not gonna do it. They did it. How is that thing still working? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How did it even work when it was like sunk in Dagobah? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
still works.
It still works.
I mean, it's sealed for spaceflight. It's
Yeah.
probably sealed
Yeah.
for.
There you go.
They don't
Yeah.
have to explain it.
Yeah.
It just
It's
works.
fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It works.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The only
So-
place Lauder would have gotten in is the R2 socket. It's fine.
But it was great to just see the T65 and the T70 and the
Yep.
Millennium Falcon, and then the rest of the
B-wings and A-wings.
B-wing, the upgraded
Y-wings
B-wings,
too.
the upgraded A-wings and Y-wings.
Are all like mishmashed
Just to
together.
see, and the rest of the fleet that was there. You,
Yeah.
you saw the ghosts for
The Ghost, yeah.
Ghost Rose, yes.
Yeah.
It had. I feel like that had to be the Ghost. There's no like.
You think so?
There's no like. Oh, that's just a regular.
It's a
BTX.
unique ship.
Because you know he
It's
went
the Ghost
because
that's
Lando went
crossed-
around, right? He went
Yeah.
around the core worlds.
Yeah.
And it's like he's just finding people who are like sympathetic to the cause.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, Hera's still gonna be like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go.
If
And
it's
we'll
not
see-
Hera,
yeah.
then it's Jason.
I hope so. I hope that I hope
Yeah.
that it is the like the Ghost specifically.
Yeah.
But the VC, I mean, they established in Solo that the
Yeah, yeah,
V6
that's
is a
the
popular
thing.
ship, not
Yeah.
just.
Not only is it
it's not
popular,
unique.
but it's
Yeah.
newer than the YT 1300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's YT 2400s at that point too. So the
Would've been
Ghost
nice if we'd
model
seen
is
that
the
one.
latest.
Yeah, see that's
Hi.
when they went like after they went to like the cockpit
Yes.
shot of like the
Phantom
Falcon.
Menace.
I was kind of hoping
see
they were gonna
off
go
the
into
back.
like a cockpit shot
So,
of the
uh,
Ghost, and it's like yes, live action Hera or whatever. And
I was
then
hoping for that.
yeah, and then like supposedly people saw the Razor Crest in that scene too.
Huh.
That
No,
would be kind
the
of
Razor,
cool.
the Razor,
No,
at
I
least
think
at
it
least
was
the
too
type
much.
of ship that it is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Because I saw it in the screenshots. I
Yeah.
didn't see it in motion
Yeah,
because
I
there's
didn't
just
see
so
that.
much going on.
Yeah.
And apparently the Colossus from I know you don't watch
Yeah,
Resistance,
Colossus Resistance. Yeah.
but
No,
like
I
that's
knew
a
that, yeah.
big ass ship.
Yeah, it was that
And I
too.
was like, well, I'm trying to look for it. Where is it? It's in the background. You can't miss it because it's a fucking gigantic ship with like other smaller ships inside
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
Oh, wait, did any of the stormtroopers talk about the new
Oh yeah, it
the
should have been
shooter?
the T-18.
T-18? Yeah. But they talked about it in this trilogy, right? Was it like in Force Racing?
But they talked
Force
about
Awakens.
Force
Yeah,
Awakens.
the T-17.
Yeah.
the new T-
T-17,
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know
that
if
was a nice
I didn't
Yeah.
hear it.
I
but
didn't
there
hear
was
it.
there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
They got,
It might have been in the background somewhere.
Lando delivering.
I mean, that's
I got
something
a
that
bad
we can
feeling about
that we
this.
can
Yeah.
catch on a second. On the
second viewing, yeah.
Because now that we know that the main story is now every other viewing we can catch a little detail.
Now
And
there's
that's great.
no fear of spoilers.
Yeah, no fear of spoilers. We don't have to worry about.
Hop
things
on Reddit
anymore.
now and be
Yep.
like, oh yeah, I gotta look out for that.
I'm gonna go home and watch the trailer.
Yeah.
You watched the trailer?
What's in the trailer?
Yeah.
Was it the trailer? Oh, that the very first scene in the very first trailer, the teaser trailer. So when Rey,
When Rey does
jumps
the
up,
hop?
yeah.
Yeah.
So like they moved it over a little bit, so
Yeah.
it's not a scoop anymore.
Yeah.
Like everyone thought it was a scoop, but it's not a scoop.
No.
It's him or it's her. It's Rey slashing.
So Ray slashing
the
down.
wing.
Yeah. So the
No,
first
it's
time we
cool.
saw that, it looked like she was just jumping over
Yeah.
it.
Or like jumping onto the cockpit.
Yeah.
Just be like, yeah.
And this, but like it was awesome actually. There's a lot of great visual moments in this movie that are very striking. I can totally see that like they saw a piece of concept art and were like, we got to recreate that
Yeah.
just as it is, and they did that. They did that.
Yeah,
a lot.
there's a lot of concept art from the Force Awakens art book actually that they used.
Oh yeah, well
Here,
the
like,
whole
the
Death Star,
yeah, Death Star 2 stuff.
throne room,
Yeah.
the throne
Oh,
room
yeah.
scene.
Mount, the
That
Ralph
one was,
McQuarrie,
but yeah, that one was
throne
in underwater. But so the throne room at this point was like, the dagger is kind of cool. A nice little plot device thing.
And the
Yeah,
dagger
they
could
love it,
be sold at
Yeah.
a replica could probably be bought at Black Spire Post. Outpost.
The Black Series
Disney
dagger.
merchandising
Yep.
geniuses.
I know.
It's like, God damn it.
And
Taking my money.
Dio, or what was his name?
Dio.
Dio. Dio.
That was a.
You thought it was another
JJ.
droid, but it was
JJ's
him.
voice.
That's
Dio.
JJ's voice.
Sorry.
No, thank
Oh,
you.
that's gonna
No,
sell
thank
too.
you. No, thank you.
I thought Dio was
Yeah, it was-
Trying to get up to him, like,
was
nothing,
judiciously
nothing.
used.
Yeah, exactly.
He wasn't too annoying. He
Yeah.
was there just, and I'm glad that he wasn't tied to anybody's background, like
Ray's parents?
maybe Ray's parents, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like
He was
Ray
there.
built Dio.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah.
The same way Anakin built C-3PO. So.
Well, that,
Or maybe she did.
I know, right? When she's a little kid.
yeah.
But they, I mean, obviously, protocol droids were a thing. You see it when they're, the Jedi are on the droid control ship.
Yeah.
So, I can reasonably accept that a kid finds parts for a standard issue protocol droid in, some podunk.
Oh, you mean Anakin?
Yeah.
building? Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's
Yeah.
a scrapper.
It's not like he was building a new droid,
No, no,
droid
no,
altogether.
that-
He's just
C-3PO looked like a piece of shit at the very
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah.
and then when he finally got his final armor, it was all rusted. So
Yeah.
or
He
not
was
final armor, but like when he finally got like a covering.
shell, yeah.
It was
was
all
just
rusted
old
out because
prototype
the
parts, yeah.
Lars probably were just like, oh, we just need to get some cheap shit to cover over this naked droid.
Put them together.
Also,
then-
sorry, go ahead.
No. Then you shine him up, he looks gold. So
Also, spinning is a good trick, and high ground always works.
yes,
Because Ray did it.
Yeah.
She spun and she had the high ground,
Yeah.
cut off the.
No, she kept on hopping to get the high ground.
Yeah, exactly. And she cut the fucking what do you call it?
they didn't have to
TIE
say
fighter.
it. They just did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Spinning is a
She,
good trick.
every time she got the advantage, she was on
Yeah,
higher
high
ground, or she was in a position where she was higher than the other person.
It's the best. It's the best.
We got anything else?
I got nothing.
Nope.
No.
Nico.
It's getting late. I got
It's
nothing.
getting late. All right, so there you guys go. That is our first impressions of Star Wars Episode 9. Rise of Skywalker. All right. You guys, last chance.
I got
Say
nothing.
anything. Nothing.
Go
Nothing.
see it.
Go see it.
Go see it.
Well, no, you should have already seen it if you were watching ours.
That's true.
Yeah.
Go watch it again.
Again, and
Find
again.
all the things.
Give all the money.
Yeah. Nobody's watching this except us, though.
That's
I
true.
guarantee
If you
you
saw
that.
it and you liked it, go watch it again. If you saw it and you didn't like
Support
it,
the
well then,
film.
yeah.
Future us that are watching this video, go watch it again if you're not watching it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it was cold out here.
I'm surprised you didn't shell out 50 for the R2.
Oh, you saw R2?
Yeah, there was the people with
You
R2
didn't see
in
that?
there.
It was a big fun. So it's the R2 is a popcorn bucket with the.
You already have an R2.
Yeah, I already have
okay.
R2.
And then the top is an older rig too. So.
Oh, really?
Oh,
That's cool.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. And
Yeah.
people were sipping at it.